All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Good evening to you. We begin this interaction this evening of your time with a reminder. We have said to you from time to time during these interactions, and yet each time from our perspective is the first time, that everything is all one thing. And the idea that intellectually, emotionally, feeling, understanding, and comprehending that everything is all one thing is the beginnings of the idea of integration, the conscious recognition that everything is all one thing, and you are part of that one thing. We have also, as a reminder, spoken to you about the idea of trust. The idea that very often when in your society the pertinent matter at hand is the idea of having faith or trusting, that many of you do then assume this to be a laborious process, a process which you do not look forward to. And in fact, what you do consider many times to be your main stumbling block. Well, I don't have enough faith. And as we reminded you also, last interaction of your time, you don't have a lack of trust. You are not rusty at trusting. This is not an ability that you must develop in any way, shape, or form. For you are always trusting 100% in something. It's just generally that when you do feel you have a lack of trust, a positive trust, what you are experiencing is an infinite trust in the negative, an infinite trust in that which you do not prefer. Therefore, again, we bring you back to, as you say, the center point of the idea that you are always trusting. So if you do feel you have a lack of faith, a lack of trust, simply explore what you are placing your trust or faith, as you say, in, for it is always there. One of the things we have noticed within your society, and we do not mean this in any way, shape, or form derogatorily, is that you are, as you say, colloquially speaking, heavy into self-invalidation. We shall for a moment present to you the idea of validating yourself, realizing that granting validity to all is, in action, the conscious recognition that everything is all one thing, and you too are a part of that one thing. For what you have created very creatively within your society is the following idea. You are all 100% whole beings. However, very many times in your society, you have created the idea that you are a collection of parts. You have broken down your 100% present consciousness even into these ideas of compartments, of parts. And you even have elaborate labels for these ideas. You have your conscious mind, you have your subconscious mind, you have your hyperconscious mind, you have your unconscious mind, and so forth. They are all simply labels. They do not empirically exist as such, but anything that you do believe is reflected in your reality. You do create 100% your reality, and do such through the ideas of what you believe to be most possible, most likely, your strongest belief. If you have, shall we say, the question in your mind, what do I believe? Simply look around. You will know what you believe. For your reality is 100% a reflection of your belief of what is most possible or most likely. Where you have chosen, listen to the wording here, it is very important, chosen to place your trust. Very many times, as we have said, in the negative reality that you do not prefer. The conscious recognition of yourself as one being that does create your own reality, would have no reason to invalidate anything, for it is all a part of you. Therefore, by invalidating, what the resultant factor is separation, compartmentalization, as you say. And this is how you have created these separations, these hiding pieces of yourself from other pieces of yourself. One of the reasons that we have stated to you that at this present timing, our civilization is not interacting with your civilization face to face, as you say, is because we are functioning at every and any given moment as 100% beings. By functioning as such beings, you therefore have a resultant vibratory change in what you may label your bioenergetic field. When you do separate, compartmentalize yourself, there is a corresponding resultant vibration to that idea. Not less in terms of better and worse, but simply slower and faster. Therefore, our bioenergetic field vibrates at a particular rate. Your bioenergetic field does vibrate at another particular rate. And though this does not occur with members of our civilization per se, when individuals in your society have come, as you say, face to face with extraterrestrial beings, as you have upon your planet, the effect of meshing a higher vibratory field with a lower vibratory field results in the slower field, shall we say, being forced to the level of the higher field. To some degree, the higher field is slowed down, but we have to use the analogy of gears turning at different rates, one faster, one slower. When you put them together, the overwhelming effect is for the slower gear to be forced to move faster, to meet the rate of the higher gear. The resulting factor, or the result of this meshing, of this combining of a lower vibratory field with a higher vibratory field, again speaking of rate and not quality, is a flushing to the surface of these parts that you have hidden from yourself. Very often when compartmentalizing yourself as such, you do hide things in your, as you say, subconscious closet. Very often things you are not willing to look at. Very often things that you have not integrated as of yet, for you have invalidated them. You have walled them off from the 100% being that you are. When these interactions do take place and these fields are brought together, this forces to the surface these ideas, many of which you have not chosen at that particular moment to look at. Therefore, the overwhelming effect, shall we say, is what you call fear. Very often to the degree of what you would label psychotic shock. And this is why at this particular timing, our civilization is not meeting face to face with yours. There are other reasons for this idea, that also being that we are interested in the information we are imparting to you, and not in your reaction to us as a civilization being better than you. No, for we are not. We have told you time and time again, and yet for the first time, we are all equal. By merely considering that we may be better, you are in a sense invalidating yourself. By viewing us as equals, you are validating yourself. Therefore, the fastest, shall we say, method for integrating yourself, for allowing yourself to face those portions you have hidden from your conscious awareness, and allow them to be integrated into the whole personality that you are, is the idea of validating them. We have said many times, when asked, what is the ultimate truth? That obviously the ultimate truth is composed of all truths. If you leave one out, it's not ultimately the truth. Therefore, ultimate truth is composed of all truths. All truths are true. to those who are buying into them and it is serving those individuals. Therefore, the conscious recognition that all truths are true puts you of a mind to not invalidate that which you do not prefer. When asked what is the difference between discernment and judgment, our answer would be simply this. Discernment is recognizing that which you do not prefer, period. Judgment is recognizing that which you do not prefer and invalidating it. Because everything is all one thing, and you are part of that all one thing. Anything that you do invalidates that corresponding portion of yourself. Therefore, again, we are not saying you must prefer, you must condone realities. Simply that you validate that this must be a valid reality. It is working for other individuals. I, however, do not prefer that reality. Therefore, I will provide a reflection of who I am and what I prefer for those individuals. Should they choose to adapt my system of being, all well and good. Should they not, all well and good. For I have done them the most service by providing the truest reflection of who I am to that individual. That is validation. That is validity. Granting validity to all. We have discussed with you the idea of how to find your purpose in life. A common question asked from your society to our society. We have elucidated that that idea is following what does excite you with integrity. Integrity, again, being the recognition of integration, not in the moralistic sense necessarily. Although it does translate out to not having to force yourself upon others, not having to hurt others or yourself to get what you want. For that is not integrative. That is not a recognition of everything being all one thing. Therefore, again, validating the reality of others and providing the truest reflection of who you are is step one. Step two would be the idea of determining who you are. Why does something excite you? Why does something not excite you? Why does something excite someone else that does not excite you? Because they are individualized barometers. Barometers of who it is that you most truly are. What you vibrate to. That vibratory excitement that you do feel when you are excited about something, truly excited about something, is your indication that that is the thing for you to be doing. Then you may, if you wish, have trust in that idea and proceed accordingly. Very often at that point, people enter into the idea of deservability. Do I deserve to have all the joy and ecstasy that I desire without having to, quote, earn it just because I exist? We say yes. If you buy into a reality where no, then when something comes up that does excite you, telling you most strongly that this is most you, you tend to, with that other belief system of undeservingness, invalidate it. Well, I can't have much excitement now. I haven't done enough work. All right. That is a valid reality. However, you don't have to do it that way. Very often we sense that that is the path that many of you have chosen, and you are not happy about the idea, as far as we can tell. Therefore, again, the primary way to validate yourself is to grant yourself your excitement. If something doesn't excite, it does excite you, and is within the realm of the recognition that everything is all one thing. Therefore, all agreements are kept. No truths are withheld. The idea of, for instance, lying is a separative concept and not an integrative concept. For you are, again, very literally attempting to hide something from another portion of yourself, for that is all another is. So honesty would be one of the resultant actions within integration. But we have also told you this idea, that what excites you, being that it is most truly you, and your real purpose in life is to be the best you can be anyway. By following that excitement, you are most abundantly supported within that idea. B, that idea is most effortless. Doesn't take a lot of effort to do something you truly enjoy. And C, that idea will then lead you to the next exciting thing. Thereby, what you can see when trusting in that you deserve a never-ending ecstatic reality, that you do begin at a singular point to do what excites you from what is available to you at that moment. It will then support you. It will then be most effortless. It will then lead to the next most exciting thing, creating a string of excitement. Very, very, as you say, analogous to the idea of a path of rocks across a stream, stepping stones, as you say. One excitement leads to the next stepping stone. Therefore, the, again, primary way with which you can, if you wish, validate yourself is to recognize what it is that excites you. Now, the idea of excitement does not necessarily have to be what you have labeled of the intensity of jumping up and down in joy and glee. Can merely begin as a preference. If you prefer something, you are excited about it. And that is where it can begin. It can be merely a preference. Well, of these things available to me, I prefer that one, to an actual, physical, exciting feeling. Therefore, begin now. What, when this interaction is complete, will you do? Well, what is available for you to do? You may, in your mind, set as a clear intention the most exciting thing you wish to be doing in your life. That is one of the sides of the coin of excitement. The other side of the coin of excitement is moment to moment. So there is overall what will excite you the most. Colloquially speaking, this is only one life. And within each moment, what does excite you of the choices available? Maybe that the thing that excites you the most is not immediately perceptibly available. And you may say, well, then how do I get onto the path that will lead me to that exciting thing? It is simply by what does excite you in any given moment from the choices available to you. May seem entirely unconnected. It is directly connected. It is the shortest point, the shortest line between 2 points, and will lead you again to the next most exciting thing, which will lead you to the next most exciting thing, which somewhere down the line along this continuum will lead you to the most exciting thing you think that you will be doing. Very often at that point, you found there are much other and more exciting things that you will also do. It never ends. The phenomenon of, in a sense, colloquially speaking, properly following this idea, this physical, mechanical idea, is what we have labeled the ecstatic explosion of coincidence and synchronicity. What this means is when you are willing 100% to use what you feel most strongly about to gauge how you will proceed in your life, then you get an explosion of ecstasy, an explosion of coincidence. Not meaning accidental, meaning coincidentally. Incidents happening at the same time, seemingly unrelated, but again, everything is all one thing, directly related, not unrelated at all. Therefore, it is your shortest, quickest path. And, as you say, the bonus is you get to have fun along the way. We truly, when discovering your civilization, were perplexed about why one is so hesitant to have a good time. It seems as though the good time of which you say you wish to partake in is as you say again, pie in the sky. You are always working toward or for putting it out into the future, this good time. And when you spend your whole lifetime being obligatory, fulfilling obligations so that you can someday down the line have a good time, what you will very often notice when you get to that point, you haven't had any practice. You don't know how to have a good time. You've never had a good time for very long. One of the other outstanding belief systems we have noticed is the self-imposed karmic notion that you must balance out good times with bad times. That is a belief. And again, whatever you believe most strongly is 100% true for you. We are not invalidating that reality. It is all right. It is a path that you may choose, but you don't have to. It's simply a definition like anything else. Therefore, use wherever you are at any given moment to key you in to your definitions, to cue you into what it is you must be believing. We have said that every situation is fundamentally neutral. A blank set of props and occurrences. You provide the meaning. Meaning in, meaning out. As you say, garbage in, garbage out. You get the effect by your interpretation of a given situation. Therefore, you can use any situation, being that they are inherently neutral, to glean positivity, realizing you are a perfect creator. It always enables you an opportunity of one type or another. Sometimes it is blatantly obvious. You get sick, therefore you can now rest. Couldn't rest until I got sick or I'd miss my job. And so forth. But however, had you caught the idea that you need rest, given yourself the rest, you would not have had to create the symbol that you do not prefer. Therefore, it is up to you what you do create in your life. If you take a symbol, again using the sickness analogy, to glean what is the message that this is delivering me, the symbol which you claim do not prefer will be on its way. Therefore, any situation is your opportunity to key into your beliefs. Another biggie, as you say, in your society is the idea of fear. Many individuals think fear is very bad. I do not like to have fear. Fear is an opportunity. Fear is useful. Doesn't mean you have to perpetuate it. Doesn't mean you have to live a life of fear to get the message. However, once you begin to use what you have already created, once you begin to accept that you have created it, you can then transform it. You cannot transform what you do not own. Therefore, by not invalidating, there's that word again, invalidating your fear, and utilizing it to key you into what you must be believing in order to have that fear, you can glean the most positive message from that fear. Guess what? The fear then goes away. Symbols do not hang around to make fun of you. They are there for a reason. They deliver a message. When you get it, they're on their way. If you do not, you do experience what you consider to be repetitive patterns of negativity in your life. Well, one way to look at any seeming repetitive pattern is to realize each and every time it is anew and not, in effect, a repetition, but to glean this time the message. if you have a repetitively negative circumstance that you do find being in your life, by saying, there it comes again, shall we say you've taken the neutral circumstance, as we have labeled, and given it the same negative label? Is it then any wonder that you get the same negative effect, perpetuating that it is repetitive? It is not. You are creating that same negative meaning each time anew. Therefore, anytime any circumstance does come up, as you say, it is an opportunity to glean positivity, to decide what you must still be believing, to be experiencing that idea. This seems to be the step where, as you say, we lose many of you. The willingness to explore your beliefs. The willingness to be honest with yourself. The willingness, colloquially speaking, to soul search. Very often, you feel you will find things you do not desire to find. That may very well be the case. But by denying them, by invalidating them, you put them back in the closet. And thereby are that one step away from being integrated. By bringing them to the surface, allowing your circumstance to provide to you, that is still an issue to be looked at, and choosing to look at it, you do not have to prefer that reality. Simply validate it as a reality. Well, I must contain it, or I would not see it. I do not see anything which I do not contain. Therefore, I acknowledge that I contain this idea. I thereby do not prefer to perpetuate this idea. That is integration. And then act like a person who does not prefer to perpetuate that idea, but do not invalidate it. For invalidation is not what you might have thought the way to get things away, rid of things you do not desire. It is the glue which holds it firmly there within you. Compartmentalized, but there within you. Therefore, we suggest integration, allowing all circumstances to be neutral, gleaning what you can get out of it, either what that circumstance has allowed you to do that you would not have been able to do without it, and also what you must be believing to still be creating that circumstance. That slight shift in your attitude, that slight shift in the way that you do choose to view things, puts it firmly back into your creatorhood. It is an affirmation, as you are so fond of using, of your creatorhood. Invalidation states to the universe that you do not believe you have created that thing that you are invalidating. And therefore you do, in a real sense, separate it from yourself. Therefore, again, by allowing yourself the slack to determine what it is that excites you, by allowing yourself to realize that you do not have to do what does not excite you in order to do what does excite you, you can begin right now. You will see, when you follow the idea of your excitement within integrity, that unexpected circumstances, coincidences, do come up. Things are fulfilled. Your abundance will be apparent, for you are always abundant anyway. Even if you create that you have an abundance of lack, it is still abundance. And that is your creation. You do not have to create that way any longer. You can. We won't force you to have too much fun. But this is the way that has worked for us. And we would not be able at this time to communicate with your society were it not that you could not only understand intellectually what we are saying, but that you can apply it within your reality. Finally, before we open up for the idea of the sharing, we reiterate, and for the first time, another point. We do not expect, believe, nor desire in any way, shape, or form that you believe what we are saying because we are saying it. No. What I can guarantee, and you seem to like that word very much, 100%, is that if you do what we are saying, you will get the results in proportion to the amount of your willingness to do it. 50%, you get a 50% preferred reality, and so forth. It is up to you. However, again, we give you these ideas so that you can take back your power and you can create your life according to your desires and preference. Not according to any desire on our end, other than to be of service to you and to acknowledge your willingness and readiness and acceptance of interacting with us in this fashion at this timing. For these interactions will only attract those individuals that will get what they need to get from these interactions and no others. We will remain effectively invisible to those who would not be applicable to the ideas we are exploring with you. They will not see us. If they do, they will not acknowledge us. Therefore, again, your being here is no accident. We simply ask now, before we do share with you, that if you do have a question or a statement, be bold and share. The more specific your question is, the more specific our answer can be. For we can only utilize the energies available to us. The more general your questions are, the more general the answers will be. So it is up to you. We simply suggest to put some thought, as you say, into what it is that you want to know. Very often you will find that simply the clear establishment of the question will give you your answer. For questions and answers are but the same thing. You don't really have a question without containing the answer. However, one of the explorations within the separation you are exploring is to get that answer from a seemingly outer source, an outer validation. However, as you integrate, you will realize it is all within. Therefore, by merely having a question, you do contain the answer. Therefore, for your willingness and in appreciation for your co-creating these interactions with us and acting as you do, as ambassadors from your civilization, allowing me to be an ambassador, a visitor from my civilization, I ask you now, how may I be of service to you?